Welcome back to In Pursuit of Magic, where we explore the things that inspire us, connect us, and the magic we find along the way. I'm Matthew Medina, and today's very special guest has already built a multifaceted career as an actress, creator, editor, gamer, YouTuber, and producer. You may have seen her as Scarlett on Slade the series on YouTube, and a multitude of incredible shorts and personal videos, or even streaming on Twitch. She has a sketch comedy show coming up next month on June 12th, as well as making her stand up debut on June 19th, along with the seventh episode of Slade hitting YouTube on May 29th. I'm very excited to welcome Devin Evola. Devin, thank you so much
And
for joining us today.
thank you for having me.
I'm very excited to dive into just your career so far and all the things you're kind of jumping into. I mean, you're clearly a very creative person and passionate about what you do.
Yeah.
And so to start with, I'm just really curious what drew you to performing.
I'm an only child and I grew up with all eyes kind of on me. My mom was also an only child, so when she had one singular kid, the grandparents were like, "Ooh." And I very quickly just started, I don't know, making weird voices, trying to sing to them. Once I got into elementary school, my school was doing a performance of the Lorax, and I was like, "Put me in there." And then afterwards, it was just kind of that was what I was doing from there on out. Moved to LA 4 years ago after a random side quest, thinking that I was going to do graphic design, and then I was kind of like, "No, I've always been an actor and a performer." So yeah, I've been doing it for as long as I can remember.
What was that move like? Because I know it could be a lot moving to Los Angeles and being overwhelmed and just kind of adjusting to life over.
Yeah, I mean, it was a spontaneous move. I was supposed to be spending a summer in LA doing a film and TV intensive. And once I got out here and I got into the program, I called my mom one day and just said, like, I don't think I should come back. I think I should stay here. And she's always been so supportive. She's my rock through everything. And she was just kind of like, okay, let's look at apartments. Let's figure out how to get you here. And the first month that I was living in LA, I was living in an Airbnb that was the size of like a large closet. It had a loft bed. It didn't have a kitchen or anything like that. It had one of those camping cooking stoves, and that's all I had. And yeah, I mean, then I kind of got my feet on the ground after a little bit. I think the uncomfortableness of the move really like gave me some grit and determination to kind of stay here and figure it out because it was hard, but the love that I have for what I do is just kind of what kept me going through. So then once I had enough money to get a studio apartment, I was like, okay, I'm going to get a studio apartment now. And then, kind of just continuing to push myself forward. But it was really hard. I think I spent the first year living in LA, no friends. I mean, I knew a couple of people through doing social media, but making mutual friends on social media doesn't really translate to a lot of in-person hangouts. So it was just a lot of like commenting on each other's posts and stuff, but never really going out and doing things. So it was very lonely at first, but I am grateful for my mom who helped me get through that first year. I think her and my stepdad were flying out like every other month just to be like, "Hey, are you okay?" But yeah, I'm very happy now and I have friends now.
Yeah, which is great, but yeah, it takes time. I think it's amazing that you had that support system because that
Mhm.
can always make or break any situation. And
For sure.
I've heard how tough it can be to, like you said, make friends, make connections. And there's a lot of people who sometimes maybe you'll connect with that you're connected, but you're not really like friends,
Yeah.
and you don't know who you're gonna mesh with or who you can really collaborate with, maybe. So I'm glad that you've found your people because sometimes that community and collaborating with people can really just change your perspective on things because
Mhm.
it's such a lonely journey. And I say it often with guests, but it's so funny that there's so many people who have a similar dream, and yet it still feels like such a lonely path
Yeah.
because you don't talk about the hard times. And
Right.
so for you, like apart from your support system and having those friendships now, when you get those like what you would see as setbacks, or maybe you're not hearing back as much or some disappointments, how do you manage to overcome those moments and keep your fire lit and just keep going?
I think something that always keeps me inspired is making sure that I'm intaking a lot of media, like movies and TV shows. Like I love going to the movie theaters by myself. It's like a little treat for me. I go and I get a big popcorn and I just go and sit up in the back row. But I think seeing other people that are kind of booking roles that I want to be booking and just new things that are being created always keeps me inspired. I also love going to my friends' plays and shows and stuff that they're doing because even if I'm not necessarily booking something at the moment, it's nice to know that my friends are also doing well. And it's kind of like that saying that's like, the tide raises all boats or something like that, you know? So surrounding myself with people that are still creating is helpful for that. And then I think, sometimes when I feel unmotivated creatively and I'm not necessarily getting any new ideas, that's always kind of my reminder to go out and live more life because I think art just comes from the experiences that you have and the people that you meet. So if I'm feeling kind of stuck, I'm just kind of like, okay, friends, who wants to go on a little trip or who wants to hang out tonight and just kind of let life give me new ideas.
Yeah, and that's really important. And I think you're definitely someone who has a lot of different creative interests. I mean, between graphic design, the acting, you're going into comedy and gaming. So it seems like you have a lot of passions that can kind of fill your cup in between whatever else you want to be doing, which is really awesome. And definitely, I see you're a Disneyland fan
Oh, yeah.
also, which is huge for me too. So that's always been a source of inspiration for me. So I'm just out of curiosity, what's your favorite attraction?
I really like the Rise of the Resistance ride at Disneyland, although it's always broken down whenever I'm there. But I do really like that one. I also love okay, this might be controversial, but I love going on It's a Small World because since it gets, like, so hot at Disney, it's nice to go in there because it's always freezing in that building, and you can just sit and just cool off.
It's a nice little break ride between that and Peter Pan's Flight. It's like,
For sure.
all right, like chill.
Yeah.
Well, I have to ask about your theater background, because it's included musical theater at Kentucky Governor School of the Arts and training at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts and now LACAE. How has that foundation influenced your transition into film, TV, and on-camera work?
I think theater is something that's important for all actors to do. I think it develops a sort of confidence in actors, being able to just get on a stage for people and be able to hold a performance for an hour and a half, having all of your lines memorized. It's very different from on camera work because, say, if you mess something up, they'll just go for another take, or maybe you're only filming half of the script one day, so you don't have to have everything memorized. But with theater, it's all there. And it's also about making sure that every single performance is just as exciting as the one before. And I think that is also really important for people transitioning to on camera, just because, keeping that energy all the time consistently, even if you're not on camera, it's helpful to keep the energy for the other actors as well. And yeah, I think theater creates such a community on with the cast and the ensemble and stuff that energy and that team energy transfers over to camera work. So it helps me make a lot more connections with people on sets and just kind of being welcoming and friendly and approachable. Um, but yeah, I started doing musical theater, and honestly, growing up, I was doing singing, acting, and a little bit of dancing, but never together until I got into the Kentucky Governor School for the Arts in 2017. And I got in for a musical theater concentration, and I didn't know how to tell all the other people that I had never been in a musical before. I was like, I know how to do this stuff, and I've watched musicals, but I've never been in one. And they're over here like, I was just in Legally Blonde, and I want to do this musical and all this stuff. And I was, hey, um, but after I did that, I did some musicals after that in high school. I haven't done any recently. It's something that I would love to get back into, but since I'm currently in a program right now and kind of also putting a lot of attention on Slade, I haven't had time to do a full-blown production, but who knows, maybe in the future.
Yeah, I mean, your hands are in a lot of things. But I was wondering about that because, especially with your venture into comedy, there's comedy musicals. I just saw
Yeah.
Titanic here in New York, and it's the most
I wanna see that
hilarious
so
thing.
bad.
It's so worth it. You will not
Really?
stop laughing the entire 90 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
But, yeah, and it's up for a bunch of Tonys, which is
Yeah,
incredible. So yeah, it makes me curious about seeing you in a musical, which I think would be really fun for you, and pulling that together. Because yeah, hearing your experience, I think it could be very overwhelming to be alongside people who have like done something a million times and are so like experienced, or so it seems. But that also means that you have a drive and a passion that's not kind of neutral to things. Like you're have a fresh set of eyes and it's a new experience for you. And you're able to bring different tools also, because now you're on film and you're also doing comedy and you're interacting and connecting with people in different ways. And I feel like that brings a whole different kind of vibe and energy to what you're
for
gonna
sure.
do. Which is really cool because you have that experience. And you talked about Slade, which is really impressive, this series, just from top to bottom, just because of the story, the characters, the world building, the music, the effects. It's very impressive. And your role as Scarlett has gained massive traction. I mean, the pilot, millions and millions of views. Episode 7 is coming May 29th. So I'm curious what first attracted you to the role, and what can fans maybe expect from your character? This is going to be the finale, right?
So this is the episode right before the finale. So
Okay,
episode 8 is
awesome.
the finale, but this one honestly feels like a mini finale because there's so much that happens. It's actually a really interesting story on how I got into Slade. I found Raul, who is the creator of the show. And first of all, Raul is a powerhouse of a creative. He does most of the things himself for the show. He's filming, he's editing it. I mean, sometimes he'll do score. I mean, he'll even do like the folly and stuff, like the footsteps and stuff in the show. It's wild what he's been able to accomplish. But I had found him on Instagram. Someone had mentioned him and I just followed him. He was already working on the show and I was just keeping up with him. And he messaged me one day and said, "Hey, I wrote a character in my show Slade and I think you'd be perfect for it. Would you like to read for the role?" And of course I said yes because I grew up loving vampires, all things supernatural. My mom, I mean, instead of watching cartoons as a kid, she was like, "This is Buffy the Vampire Slayer," and like going to see Twilight. And I watched the Vampire Diaries on TV when it was first coming out. And so someone telling me that they had written a vampire role for me, it was just honestly a dream come true. And yeah, it just kind of took off from there. I read for the role. He was like, "Yep, you're in." And he had been filming the show for 4 years prior, I think, and it was just not landing in the place that he wanted. He had filmed so many scenes, and he was just kind of kept coming back to this thing that the story was missing something, and I guess the story was missing Scarlett, because Scarlett's character very much in the grand scheme of the show, she kind of fills all the plot holes. So, she kind of explains everything, she gets visions about stuff, and yeah, I mean, it's been awesome getting to work with him and the other cast members, and I think the end of this first season is insane. I'm so excited for everyone to see it. There's definitely a lot more Scarlet towards this end of the season to kind of prep for a potential, hopefully, season 2, kind of showing just I don't know, I don't even know how to explain it. Everything just goes wrong. Everything's bad.
Hmm.
Everything's bad and it's chaos. Everyone's crying, everyone's yelling at each other, everyone's fighting. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what people think about it.
I'm really excited too. There's been such a build up throughout these episodes, and you could see the fans are like hungry for more. They're always like, "When's the next episode?" And I
Right.
know it takes so much to like get these done. And your character Scarlet is such a pivotal character in so many ways, especially I guess in showing other sides to Ryan and what's going on. And her character also is someone who kind of calls people out on their shit, and
Yeah.
she like stands up to everyone no matter how menacing they can be. So I'm very curious for you, like how fun that is, and also what parts of yourself do you see in Scarlet, or feel free to kind of explore within the role.
I think I definitely see the no bullshit kinda in me and Scarlett. I feel like that's just a given being a 5'1" Italian girl. You're just gonna get spicy with things, and, like, I've gotten a lot better at standing my ground on things and saying, "This is what I deserve," and Scarlett is very much that. But I I do think there are some sides of Scarlett that I have gotten to explore that maybe I mean, I used to love school and I love doing my own education on things now that I'm not in traditional college anymore. But Scarlett is just, she's so smart and she knows so much about everything. And her education comes off effortlessly. And I think that is something that I inspire to give, just kind of having my intelligence just radiate off of me. She doesn't struggle with any of it. She's just kinda like, "Oh, yep, 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 yep." And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and she seems to enjoy it, when
Yeah,
she's,
yeah.
like, researching and just, like, dancing around and looking stuff up and scribbling in her notebook, so
Yeah.
I think it is, like, a character who I think a lot of people wanna be more like, someone who takes no shit, but is also, like, knows her stuff and will
Right.
say it.
Yeah.
So it's great to hear that Scarlett in general is such a pivotal character both behind the scenes as well as for audiences because I think she also shows a lot of heart as a character and in bringing out the heart of other characters, which is great to see. I think it
Same.
slows things down when things are just very chaotic and happening within the storyline. And
Definitely.
you're no stranger to exploring different kind of emotions. And I just want to talk quickly about Morgue Besties, which was a really awesome short with Rosie Ryden as the dead best friend of a morgue employee who gets to talk to her from beyond the grave. It was both very funny, but also very heartfelt. And in such a short span of time, it makes me curious what was it like balancing that humor and heart in such a short form narrative?
I mean, that was so fun to do. Rosie wrote that script. We were kind of, like, going back and forth on things, but Rosie's also just, like, a really good friend of mine. And so when it came to filming it, it was just very natural for us to just have fun with all of that. I feel like I feel comfortable in emotional scenes, I would say. I think I'm just a highly emotional person in my nature. So it's not hard to get me worked up about something, but having that contrast between having such a fun kind of like girls' night energy that the beginning of that had mixed with the reality that, her friend is not actually alive. I love things like that. It has depth. I think it's also more realistic because everything's not happy all the time and things aren't always sad all the time. There is that middle ground and you can be sad while you're feeling happy of a moment, And so that was just really fun. I was just wrapped up in a sheet running around this soundstage and just looking like a dead person.
It seemed like a lot of fun, and it kept making me think at the end of it, was there ever a discussion about maybe doing more shorts of these or turning it into something longer or exploring like how that would even
I mean, there was definitely talks about it. I think myself, I just like to create shorts whenever I can, whenever time allows me to. I like to, if I have an idea, I just want to execute it. And I mean, I would love to do more stuff with that. I think there's some other things that I would like to create. I have this entire notebook that's just full of these random ideas that I'll get and then I'll go ahead and cast them in my mind with people that I know and I'll reach out and say like, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this thing. I don't know when I'll have the time to do it, but do you want to do it?" And I definitely want to give some energy into those. And yeah, I mean, that's why I'm very grateful for social media because it does allow me to take my career into my hands and kind of produce my own works and have them out there and also let those stand with the other work that I'm doing. And my YouTube is the number one place where I'm kind of just like, I have an idea for a short. I'm going to put it on here. So I'm excited to make more. I want to make some more like before the end of this year for sure.
Yeah, it's awesome seeing your videos because it's such a range of stuff, and you could tell, like, you just have this creative mind where you have an idea and you go all in, which is amazing to just see spread out through your channel. I mean, you have a ton of shorts on your channel, you create your own content, and you also talk about real topics, which is also very important. Is there a project so far that has felt like a big creative or personal breakthrough for you?
That's a good question. I feel like within this last year or so, since I started at the program, let's say, I feel like I've kind of discovered myself a little bit more as an artist and realized how just lucky I am to be here and to be able to do this. And it has now caused me to not take a single thing for granted. And I think that's showing in my work. Also, I think I've made a lot of progress mentally as well. A perfectionist, very much so, like a debilitating perfectionist. And a lot of times I used to start projects and then I would get so fixated on it and then nothing would ever come to fruition. It was frustrating because I knew that I had all these ideas and I could make all of these things and nothing was going out. And so I think this past year, I don't know if there was a specific project that did it for me, but I think just as a whole, I feel more accepting to imperfections and just creating without kind of hyperfixating on every little detail of it or the way that I'm perceived. Social media has a lot of the creates a lot of that fear of perception. And yeah, I mean, I feel a lot more confident. I feel a lot more comfortable. I think I am able to just kind of create and produce, which ends up making a higher quantity of content, but it also has a higher quality. So it's not just like putting out a bunch of stuff for no reason or not putting out anything at all except for maybe like one video once every year that's like really, really, really good, you know? So that's been nice.
It's amazing to hear too, because like you said, that quest for perfectionism can be really debilitating and I think sometimes hold us back. I think
Mhm.
with also like imagining what other people may view it as and their perception of us. I mean, I went through that myself and it was preventing me from even starting this podcast at first. And I had to kind of just let go and just say it means something to me and that's why I'm going to do it. And I'm so glad I did because now I think you're my 40 something guest. So it's just really
Yay.
awesome to have you on and to talk about this because you really understand that process. And like you said, just having a better handle on who you are and knowing yourself and your creative process is important. And I think that the process that you went through in the past year and the stuff you're putting out just shows your growth and it shows that you are actively using that muscle, which I think is really important to also just fulfilling your joy, finding that and being inspired. And, you know, you've spoken on mental health a lot and different struggles that can come with it. Um, I think especially people in creative fields go through that and they find it difficult to grapple with their value and identity beyond what others might be labeling or whatever box people are trying to put you in. What is important for you to do for yourself to stay grounded and knowing your worth and pushing forward even when things feel heavy?
I think, you know, when I moved out to LA and I was really struggling that first year, it was that next year that I got diagnosed with OCD. And then I also have my perfectionistic issues in that regard. And, you know, I think there's, especially with social media and also just like if you're struggling with mental illness and stuff like that, it's so hard sometimes to even just have your feet on the ground. And especially with social media and the entertainment industry, there's constantly going to be people that are, you know, deciding who you are or if your stuff is good or if it isn't good. And everybody's always going to have something to say. But I kind of just think that it's a plus that they're saying something at all. But I have developed a lot of techniques to kind of help myself stay grounded. I journal a lot and I have been for maybe like half a year now. I've been gratitude journaling every single morning. And so I wake up and I write three things that I'm grateful for and three things that I want to focus on that day. And I really, really worked hard to make sure that the three things that I wanted to accomplish that day were not actual tasks on my to-do list. They're more things like being present with my peers or staying optimistic about things or telling the people around them that I love them. And that has really helped me stay grounded. And it's kind of brought me back to the people that mean the most to me. But then there's also just like other small practices. I saw a video the other day that this girl was talking about how once a month she just writes down things that she's enjoying that month. And I think that is so genius and it is so smart because it seems silly in the moment, but it helps just remind you of who you are and the things that you enjoy when there's all this noise and all these people just commenting on you and what they think you are. And just being able to go back and look at these pages and say, like, "Oh, in March, I really liked candles that smelled like lavender. and I liked this show and this food, and that kind of reminds you of who you are at your core outside of all of that.
I think that's beautiful and really important. And it's funny because I've caught myself kind of mentally doing similar things where I'll wake up and I'll think, what do I have to look forward to this week or today or what's coming this month? Usually it'll be like, oh, this movie is releasing or this book or I'm seeing this friend that day. And occasionally I'll write it down in like my notes just so I can like refer back to it because
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes it's easy to forget those things that we have that do bring us joy are constantly around us if we just remember that they're there. And
Mhm.
it's very important. And so it's great to hear like your process because yeah, I think especially with someone who is doing so many things and wants it to really be great, I think reminding yourself of what you have and what's around you is kind of like an anchor to, like you said, put your feet on the ground.
100%.
And, we've talked a little bit about your background in musical theater and singing. So I'm very curious in terms of what you would like to do. We talked a little bit about maybe doing a musical. Are there any other things you would explore in terms of singing?
Hmm. There was a point in my life where I thought, "Oh, I wanna be a pop star." I've kind of steered away from that just because I think my love for acting is so much more prominent, but I definitely want to be back singing. I think I've realized more recently that I haven't been singing except for maybe in my car by myself, but I was very confident growing up and in college about my singing, and I was just singing to people all the time anywhere that I was, and now I don't know if it was LA or social media or whatever, but I got very in my head about it, and then I just woke up one morning and was kind of like, "Wait a minute, I don't think I'm a good singer." And I just kind of, like, got stuck in that regard, but now I'm starting to feel a lot better, and I am interested in doing more things with singing. I think a musical would be great. I also love, musical films. I mean, I am huge, huge Wicked fan. I loved the movies. I went both to see both of them in theaters, bawled my eyes out. I that's just that looked like such an amazing project to be a part of, and something like that would be so awesome to do something like that.
Completely. And, you talking about that just also made me think of like movie soundtracks in general. And
Mhm.
I just thought of the idea of maybe you doing some kind of original song for Slade, which would be really cool.
That would be awesome. I've never thought about doing that before.
So think about it, maybe suggest it. So hopefully we do the season 2 and, that would be a good, like, venue for you to go through. So
Yeah,
I'm crossing my fingers.
that would be awesome.
In terms of different roles and projects though, what are you most excited to tackle next, whether it's other series or a film or more indie work or something completely different and new?
I think I'm finishing up this program at Lycée this year, and it's been awesome getting to do that because it's just really pushing me out of my comfort zone with a lot of things, but it has taken up a lot of my time. And so I am excited to see kind of just what my everyday life looks like after this because I have a lot more information now um, through doing this program and a lot more ideas. And once finishing that, I'm just excited to be creating my own things again and also just like constantly auditioning. I definitely, one of my goals is I have kind of gotten away from streaming a little bit. And that's something that I want to get back into just because I do love to talk and just being able to connect with my audience in real time is something that was very, very precious to me back when I was doing it. And I just would love to find the marriage between social media content creator and actress because I don't know if that's a battle I'm going to fight forever, but I would love to just be able to combine the two and have them flow. I think balance is kind of an unrealistic goal to have, but I will always strive for balance. And yeah, I don't know. There's now that I've met a lot of people more recently, there's people that I wanna work with, people that I wanna collaborate with. I was even talking to Raul about this, and we actually ended up choreographing something. We haven't shot it yet, but we choreographed an entire fight scene between Scarlett and Ryan. which is just fun. It's not even in the show. It's just like a side thing that we came up with, and it was so fun. Went to his one day and he was like, "Okay, let's just do this. Okay, you punch here and then go backwards and then do this." And that was really fun. And so I'm hoping that maybe once these next 2 episodes come out, we can just like throw out a little fight scene on his YouTube. So
That would be awesome. Especially just because, like you said, leaving this program, you're coming out with so much more knowledge and then more skills and experience and kind of just ready to take on even more, which is incredible because you've taken on a lot and you're doing a lot of different things, and in terms of new ventures, a couple of them are the sketch show you're going to be doing and the stand-up comedy. So I'm curious about Act 3, the live sketch show, and how you got involved with that and how that experience has been, I guess, preparing for it.
So we're currently in a sketch comedy kind of class, and it's really, I mean, it's not necessarily a class. It's really kind of just like a writer's room, and we all go in there and we come up with ideas, very much kind of in the SNL style of where we pitch ideas. If someone likes a sketch, then we'll start fleshing it out a little bit. We do this really fun thing when there's an idea. We'll get up and improv with the idea and just see what comes out. And so everybody has written these wild sketches. I mean, it's so funny. I the sketch that I wrote that's going to be in the show, it's about a second grade science fair and these three kids are presenting their projects and the first two are normal and the third one their project is a little questionable. And yeah, it's fun. It's a nice place where we can kind of just be silly and funny without, you know, thinking about judgment or whatever, it's just we go into that room and for 4 hours every week, we can just really let everything go, which is so fun. And then the stand up, that was something I was terrified of. For some reason, I never saw myself doing stand up. I didn't think that I would be good at it. I saw it as terrifying. I also had a huge misconception about stand up. I thought that it was just improv and crowd work, basically. Like, I thought comedians just got up there and they were just kind of like, what am I going to talk about now? And I've realized that is not necessarily the case. Sometimes there are people that are really good at crowd work and, they can just take what's coming at them. But it's been really fun getting to do stand up and kind of work on my own set. And I feel very good about it. I feel like I mean, I guess I've always kind of thought I'm funny. That's my like big head thing. But I just didn't think I was like stand up funny. But now I feel like I might be kind of stand-up funny, which is interesting because that has opened a new door for me, and now that I've kind of realized that I do like it, I mean, maybe that's something that as a new venture, I would love to do more stand-up stuff, because
Absolutely.
it's fun.
Yeah, and I gotta give you kudos too, because it is scary. Yeah, just from a perspective of someone who has seen it, but also like never thought I would do something like that. I know how nerve-wracking that must be. So kudos to you for having that courage and preparing to do that. But also like, yeah, I love the fact that you are so excited to kind of prepare and get ready for this. I think the idea of like having that confidence, there's another guest who said there's a healthy dose of a little delusion that's needed to do anything creative. And I completely agree with that
100%.
because you'll range from like not believing in yourself at all and questioning everything you do to being like, I could do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's all it really takes to just take that first step and do it, take the plunge.
Yeah, and
So
I mean, I think, like, you know, there is 100% you need that delusion, and there's still even moments when I'm really, really feeling down and I'm doubting things, but in the back of my mind, I'm still like, everything works out for a reason. I'm on the right path. Because I think if you don't have that, then it's so easy to just step out or say, like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. And I feel like that delusion is what keeps all of us still going and booking the next thing and sticking around in this industry.
you're speaking my language in terms of your perspective on things because I've definitely been there. And there was a point where I was telling someone who who I look up to and admire, and they were kind of just very to the point about it. They were just like, well, normally the people who are successful are the ones who go through this and just keep going anyway.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, that's all I needed to hear. And then I'm like, I want to be one of those people. And I think just remembering that and keeping that in mind, yeah, I think it will make or break your journey and experience. And I think like what you've been through and connecting with others and finding your people and finding your place is also so helpful, just community, friendships. And it seems like
100.
you found that in a lot of different projects, which is awesome because you're collaborating all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's very different from preparing for stand up because that's so solo and it's on
It
you.
is.
So I'm very curious. What has the process been like in you preparing the material? Just both logistically in writing jokes, but also just mentally, like getting in the headspace.
I think I'm definitely like an observationalist when it comes to the things that I find funny and the things that are kind of going into my stand up set because I feel like I'm constantly watching people and I have an entire section of my notes app that's just people that I see and sometimes it's really sweet moments, sometimes it's really weird moments like, you know, a person who walks in front of my car or that I see on the sidewalk and I'm always just watching people and things. And so I definitely focused on a lot of that. And I also think too, I mean, I grew up in Kentucky and now I live in LA and that is two very different places. So those jokes honestly just kind of wrote themselves. But yeah, I mean that's been awesome. I mean, it is stand up is a solo thing, but I also think that it's still a team thing like the other aspects of the arts in the sense of once you kind of get into a group with comedians and everything, everybody starts throwing out ideas. And even in this program, you know, we're doing a stand up class, but it's all of us together in a room and we're performing our stand up set over and over and over again to each other. Every once in a while, someone will just throw out something. They'll be like, I think this word's funnier. You just throw it in, and everybody's collaborating with one another and helping punch up jokes. And I think, I mean, at least from what I've heard, and I can hope that maybe it's that way once I do a little bit more of it, but I get the sense that there is a lot of comedians that are like that as well, just in the professional space. And, you know, you might go do a stand-up set and talk to a comedian afterwards, and they're like, "Hey, I think it'd be really funny if you said this." That's just kind of you're all working together on it and you're all supporting each other.
That's amazing to hear too. I think not everyone gets that experience where they get to kind of
Mhm.
workshop their stuff with other comedians. So I can imagine that being really helpful and kind of comforting as you're first starting
Sure.
out.
For sure.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about, community and coming together like that. And I can tell that with sketch comedy that there's a lot of that. There's a lot of collaborating and finding what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And so what are you most looking forward to in terms of that performance and being in front of an audience? And is there specifically something that's in the sketch that made you laugh the hardest when just practicing it?
I think, I mean, there's been a lot of things, but I'm excited to perform it for a live audience, but I'm also excited to, you know, as we were talking about earlier, how I create a lot of shorts on my YouTube and stuff like that to maybe help the people in my program and even with my sketch, help film them and get them up and kind of a nicely produced version of the sketches. I mean, there's so many different sketches. One of my peers is working on a sketch that is a company that turns pets into humans, and so the humans get to meet their dogs after they've been turned into a human. So I'm the first participant, and my golden retriever is turned into a human, and he comes running in, and he's like, "Oh my god, I love you guys so much. I love you so much. Oh, this is so awesome!" And he like licks my face, and it's so funny. And like the whole thing, it goes downhill from there. Like that one is prime patient, and then I think the last one is a pug that has been turned into a human, but you know how pugs have trouble with the breathing and stuff? And that's what the human it comes out like and it's like, "Help me." It's so funny. I mean, honestly, there hasn't been a sketch that didn't make me laugh because everyone is just really going out there with them. There's another sketch that is, kind of like the hype house, but it's senior citizens. So it's like a bunch of influencers, but they're all senior citizens and they're like holding the phones like away from their face. Cause you know how like if you're on the phone with one of your grandparents, they're like, the phone's over here.
Yeah.
Um, and stuff like that. It's so fun. There's so many that I'm excited to do, but I think the biggest thing is I'm excited to film them and share them with other people because the show is just a one night thing and the content and the scripts that have been written are too good to just be on that stage that one night.
Oh, well, I'm excited then because, yeah, I would love to see those sketches. They sound hilarious. I know it's going to be a good night. That audience is going to make those jokes come alive. And I think, like what you said about like being in front of a live audience, sometimes that energy really just
Hmm.
lights up the room. And I think it's the same thing with stand up. So I'm excited for you doing that because it's really going to just make your experience so much better.
100%. I'm so excited for the stand up and the sketch. I mean, both just doing comedy to an audience is so fun because, I think sometimes doing comedy to just a camera is kind of like, I hope they'll laugh when they see this. But having the energy of the audience and knowing that they're picking up on your energy and they're laughing and you're having fun. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think most people, especially with stand up, if someone's coming to a comedy club, they want to laugh, they want to have fun. So if you're up there having fun, you might not be the funniest person that night, but if you're having a good time, then they're having a good time with you. And that's just fun, you know?
Yeah. And, as an audience member, I think we love seeing the people on stage having a good time and enjoying
Yeah,
themselves.
for
It
sure.
really just makes the experience so much better, and it seems like also just your love for what you're doing just comes through in everything that you do. So I think that's gonna come through in both performances too, which so I'm very excited for you. I feel like, especially being in front of a live audience, there's a lot of magic there and kind of the energy that's exchanged between them.
For sure.
And so for you, I'm curious where you find magic in the world, both in your career and outside of it.
I think in my career, it's definitely, I think whenever I have like a new idea and I kind of get into this flow state where I just have my notebook and I'm just writing a bunch of ideas and it kind of feels like there is some magic there because it feels like this I've kind of transcended from human level and I'm just kind of like, oh, this idea needs to come through me. And that's really awesome. I love that feeling and I wish it was happening all the time. Outside of my life, it's definitely the people around me that I love. I mean, my mom is truly, I don't think that I could be doing any of the things that I'm doing today without her. She is just the most amazing person and she is the most hardworking woman that I know. I think she's always having ideas for me of like, "Oh, what if you did this kind of project or what if you did this? How are you doing? Like, what's your day look like?" We talk all the time. We talk, I mean, maybe like at minimum twice a day. Like we talk a lot. And so she is the biggest creator of magic for me. I mean, I don't know what I'd do without her.
Well, that's amazing to hear because I think it's very important to have people like that in your life. And clearly, it's paying off in such a positive way in your life and what you're doing. And it makes me curious then how you hope to create magic for others.
I think definitely through what I create. I think, we can tell so much through the art forms that we take on and, we're called to be a part of. And even just, and it doesn't have to be super emotional or a super heavy topic, but I think there's power in someone at home watching a character that you've done and saying, "Oh, this character kind of reminds me of me. And this seems like a circumstance that I would be in, and that's kind of funny." Or, I really relate to these feelings. And I think allowing people to feel seen is such a gift that we have as artists. And I hope to create magic through that. I also, even just things like this, like talking about, you know, the real sides of the industry and also talking about like mental health stuff. I think that's huge. I hope to be an advocate for OCD and the things that I've struggled with and just kind of let people know that they aren't alone and that you can still find success and happiness with all those hardships. And so that's hopefully what I'll be able to do.
Well, I think you're very much succeeding in that. both in all the things you're creating and a part of and collaborating with people with, but also just your sincerity and your honesty. I think it comes through. And I just want to thank you for being such a magic maker and sharing
Thank
yourself
you.
because that's very hard and it takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there, but it doesn't go unnoticed. And I think it comes through also in your work. So thank you for being on, Devin, and sharing your magic. You're a magic maker. Everyone who's watching, the seventh episode of Slade comes out May 29th on YouTube. And Act 3, the live sketch show, is June 12th at the Los Angeles Community of Acting Entertainment. And tell everyone about your stand up. It's June 19th. Where can they find it?
It's at the Comedy Chateau.
So I will put links down below when I post this episode so everyone can get tickets if you're in Los Angeles. And everybody watching, normally say go out there and do some magic, but I would love for you to do it for me. So if you just say your name and say everyone listening, go out there and do some magic.
Okay. My name is Devin Evola, and to everyone listening, go out there and create some magic.
You heard her. And go see her in person. Watch her shows. Bye everybody.
Yeah.